Yeah, we'll just go for it.
Cool.
What about auditors? Do you think auditors should have cameras off? So just the...
Yeah, maybe that would be a little better.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, we'll just go for it.
What about... Oh. Somebody was in the middle of asking a question.
Sorry, I think we're good. A little bit of technical difficulties to start, but hello everyone. Welcome to the first of two masterclasses hosted by Bass Players for Black Composers as part of our 2021 one-year anniversary fundraising extravaganza of June programming. So we'll hope you'll check out more of that at our website. And some upcoming events of note are tomorrow starts the International Society of Bass Players virtual festival. And so we're going to be hosting a booth throughout the week. So starting tomorrow, June 8th, we'll have some time, I'm pretty sure 12:30 to 2 p.m. CST. And then I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll be there. So pop in and say hi. We have some new merch that's dropping this year if you donate. So there'll be like tote bags, t-shirts, stickers. So we hope you will find us on our website, bassplayersforblackcomposers.com. And there's a big button in the corner that says donate. And once you do that, you'll see how you can help us out and see our mission of how we're commissioning composers to write new works for commissioning Black composers to write new works for the double bass. And so far we have commissioned, I think we're at 9 commissions at this point. So it's been a very busy year, and we're excited to reach more bass players and work with more composers. So for today's event, we are super excited to welcome Michael Martin. So a little bit about Michael. Michael is a second-year double bass fellow in the New World Symphony from Allentown, Pennsylvania. Formerly, he was a diversity fellow with the Cincinnati Symphony and an associate member of the Civic Orchestra of Chicago. He holds degrees from Northwestern University and Oberlin Conservatory of Music in double bass performance. Michael lives in Miami Beach, Florida with his girlfriend Rose, their tuxedo cat named Tofu, and an ever-growing collection of houseplants. Michael began his study of the double bass with Suzuki teacher Domenick Fiore in early high school and quickly discovered a deep love of the double bass and all its musical capacities. And he has studied with renowned bass professors such as Tracy Rowell, Andrew Raciti, Owen Lee, and Alexander Hanna. So throughout his undergraduate and graduate degrees, Michael developed a passion for string pedagogy and has taught private and group lessons at the Cleveland Institute of Music's preparatory programs, as well as lessons and ensemble coachings at Cleveland Heights High School. As part of his graduate degree, he studied string pedagogy with the legendary cello pedagogues Hans-Jorgen Jensen and Cornelia Watkins Dyer. In addition to orchestral playing, Michael found an appreciation of contemporary music in his time at Oberlin Conservatory and has been heard on the album Song Tree performing the music of Ricardo Zahn Muldoon alongside faculty of the Easton School. Michael is also the subject of an episode of the Slate podcast How To by Charles Duhigg on Peak Performances. He's also the creator of Black Reflections, a 3-part panel discussion series on racial justice in music featuring Black luminaries of classical music and jazz such as Chi-Chi Nwanoku, Christian McBride, and Dr. Tammy Kernodle. Michael plays a modern instrument made for him in 2019 by Christopher Savino and a bow by acclaimed Utah bow maker Robert Dow. So thank you so much, Michael, for being here, and look forward to this class.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. Yeah, it's gonna be wonderful. So we have Sarah Nielsen first. Sarah, we can do this however you want. Do you want to introduce yourself and then play, or just play? It's up to you.
I can introduce myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Nielsen, and I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. And I'm going to be playing the prelude from the second Bach suite today.
Something I constantly bemoan about Zoom is that we can't hear everybody clapping. So I'm gonna give you some claps.
Thank you.
That was delightful. That was very delightful. How do you feel?
I feel like I don't know. It's just so weird to give a performance. I feel a little bit unbalanced. like a lot of the things that I was able to do in practice, I think are not quite coming through in terms of phrasing and just some of the intonation stuff I was trying to correct is sort of it's exposing where I need to do more work, I think.
Okay. Do you feel like you got a good shake at it? Do you want to like play part of it again?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the beginning was a little shaky, but I feel like I kind of found my way towards the end.
I agree. I feel that the beginning is one of the most haunting, like intimate moments in like the repertoire that we commonly play. And I would love to hear you play the beginning again. Could you just go to like the cadence in like F major?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's magical. Bravo again. That was delightful. So I have a couple of thoughts about how to address some of your concerns that you have with it. So one of my favorite performances of this that I've ever seen was at Fairchild Chapel at Oberlin College, and it's this like Renaissance. It's like a Renaissance revival chapel meant to resemble a chapel in like the 16 or 1500s. And it's small. It only seats like maybe like 100 people. And I remember like Scott Dixon was playing it, and he just had one of the most like haunting, like intimate sounds I've ever heard in my entire life. And I just felt like I was on the edge of my seat, and like I had to lean in and listen more and more and more. And every little detail that he put into it was just so crystal clear. And I've just always thought about that performance in my mind when I think about this piece. Could you tell me about the opening, just as much as you played? Could you tell me a little bit about the sort of interpretation that you're going for? I feel like I got a pretty good idea of it by listening to you, but I want to hear your thoughts and your ideas.
I mean, definitely when I was sort of beginning to approach this, I was listening to a lot of like period performances, and actually you mentioned Scott. And his it must be like 2016 or something, ISB recital has been something that I've been listening to a lot. But I really am trying to shape this around like what I consider the bass line. And so like the first to the
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that interpretation, and that's how I play this. I haven't played it in a long time. I'm not gonna get up and try to play it, but I think I have a few like solutions to bring those out a little bit more clearly. So let's just take the first three notes. So sorry, maybe not the first three notes, but just the first phrase. Where would you say like the highest point of the phrase is? With the most tension, the most like, yeah.
Yeah, I would say there's maybe more than one for me. But maybe this diminished chord I think is super important. That's super important to me. And then I really just love this descending. So I would say those are maybe the two things I'm most interested in bringing out.
Okay, so for that diminished the E, like diminished passage, do you think of it as like coming from the downbeat to the second beat to the high E, or do you think about it as like bouncing from the first beat from the lower E natural?
Yeah, so I think of the low E natural as being the most important, but I feel like this is one that I've gone back and forth on.
Me too.
How I should go to.
So maybe I'll challenge you to do this. Could you give me two interpretations? One where you play this like cloud of E diminished sound on the low E natural, and then another one where you like rise up to the higher E natural.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Which one resonated with you more that time, today?
The first one, I would say.
Yeah. So yes. So this brings us to another point about phrasing. So I feel that like bow distribution is so critical when it comes to phrasing and creating like really convincing phrasing. I feel like relies on having like great bow distribution. So just as you're playing this, can you make sure that like the note that gets the most bow is the first note, without necessarily taking too much time? Yeah. Yeah. Could you try one more time? I just want to hear it again. Yeah. Yeah. So to me, that feels a lot clearer. That feels like if I were taking notation, that's probably what I would write down. I would write like maybe a tiny, like a little diminuendo coming off of that, like at the bottom of the page, or like underneath the music. I'd probably write that in. The other thing, so your bow changes. I feel that to make this sound like that, that sort of like organ stopped like Renaissance sound. I feel like having like super smooth bow changes is like a big part of that. What do you think? Because everybody has a different idea on this. So what do you think?
I agree with that. I'm very much about like the Caroline Emery bow curve kind of approach to the bass, and that's definitely something I haven't delved into with this as deeply as I could.
Sure. So maybe just on one note, could you show me the phrase that you want to make? Like just on one E natural, can you just show me like how you want to divide those notes up in terms of bow distribution? Like, yeah, with nice fluid bow changes. Yeah. How about one more time? Yeah. That's great. That's like, now that now that I pointed it out, that's all I had to do was point at it. And you nailed it. But I just want to add one other like element to this that I feel might make it easier to play with those nice fluid changes. So this is actually something that I've gotten into recently, and maybe I don't know who's like watching this class right now, but I'm sure what I'm about to mention is people are going to say, please stop talking about this because this is all you've been talking about. I've actually been experimenting a lot with how much I tip the hair. So I can scoot closer too if you'd like. But I've been moving towards playing with less hair more often. And my reasoning for that is that I feel it allows us to play with a little bit more control. I feel that when you have flat hair, sometimes you activate the spring of the hair, which is great when we're doing it, but I feel that it can be helpful when we're playing music like this to take some of that like flexion out of the bow by tipping the hair a little bit. Or in this case. Why don't you give that a try? Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And could you do it once with the notes too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
Yeah,
and
I can do that.
That was wonderful. That was really great. What else? Are there any other spots? So we talked about bow distribution. I feel if you take that sort of approach, like we did, even just doing it on one note to show like which note is most important, which one gets the most bow, that can just help clarify the phrasing just so much. We're not gonna, let's not, go through everything and pick that out, but maybe, is there like another spot that you feel that you wanted to phrase a little bit more clearly?
Let's see. I feel like I kind of get into the weeds a little bit, like in the middle of this, and I feel like I'm just kind of doing the same phrasing by default on all of those chords, and I think maybe that's something where that's a spot where I could just be a little bit I don't know, I just think there's some room for me to be creative there.
Sure. So I think sometimes it can be so satisfying to hear somebody do not the same thing, but the same gesture, maybe reiterated like several times in a different way. So I really liked how you just played it, where like you sort of came away from the bass notes and but the bass notes made like a little a shape, a line. I really appreciate that. I personally like that a lot. I mean, but I've heard people play it super convincingly, the opposite way, and it sounds very like brazen and like muscly, like to go up to the top, and that's cool. What do you which would you like to do, or would you like to do neither or do something else?
Well, I just wonder if there's a way, because I almost feel like the last one, this like that could be if I can play it in tune, but just like that note is very much like if I had to pick one thing to bring out in this phrase, like that sort of feels important.
Yeah.
In some way.
So maybe we'll use a similar approach as before. Could you do it maybe just on one note, just for that last like grouping? how you want the phrasing to go. It sounded like you went something like that. Yeah, and every note should be more intense than the last if you're going to make that shape.
Mm-hmm.
That was an excellent shape. Could you do it like in time so that like no note is like longer or shorter than the one before? Great. So that felt super clear to me. And maybe you could even like juice it up a little bit more, just starting a little bit quieter on the like just ghost it even. Yeah, that's great. So I think that sounds super clear. Why don't you try it with the notes? Take it at whatever tempo you want. Just make sure that every note is more intense than the last note before it. Yeah, I got the shivers. Like, listen, that was great. That's awesome. I mean, you nailed it. So that was great. So intonation. You also mentioned intonation. I want to get to that. I'm not sure how much. Let me check the time too. But can you pick? Let's go to the end. The last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. Because I do this all the time. It's like I go like this a little bit, like you know, like be like, oh man, like that's the same face I make when I'm like cleaning up my cat's litter sometimes. Like I just cleaned up his litter box this morning and I was like, oh my god, like why did I wait so long to do this? Like so I saw that face. I was like, okay, I know that face. She was not happy with that last section. So maybe you just want to play it once so that we can just get it out in the open and then we'll dive into it.
Okay. I'm going to actually start like the bar before.
Yeah, absolutely. Better, absolutely, much better than the first time. Which one were you least happy with this time? Let's start with that one. Yeah, Rebecca Lawrence says such a cool cadenza. I absolutely agree. I'm so glad that you're doing this. Like, it's totally valid to just arpeggiate the last 6 bars, 5 bars, but I also like the way that you're doing it. I think it's really interesting. So. Bravo.
Thank
on
you.
That.
I mean, I feel like the things where it's hard for me to reach, I think that's probably what is causing. So probably the third to last and second to last bars are probably the most unreliable.
So what's your fingering? I'm sorry, I was looking at the music last time you played. What's your fingering for the third bar before the end?
Yeah. Thumb 1, 4, and there's a pivot in there.
Okay, let me try your fingering. Like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the next one?
And then thumb 1, 4 again.
Okay. Tough.
And I'm 5'2", so that's probably part of my problem.
I'm my girlfriend is watching this. She can tell you that I complain about this all the time. I'm 5'7". I look like I'm not, but I'm only 5'7". I'm not a very like large person. So I have to use this yoga block. That's why I yanked it out to show you. Okay, and then the last one.
And then thumb 3.
Okay, so let's start with the A, E natural, D. Can you show me in slow motion how you're going to do that? Yeah, I mean, great. Do it like that every time. There. So I use this fingering, I think, as well. And my issue with this one is that when I pivot, when I twist a little bit, my E goes out of tune. So let's work backwards. Let's find how it will be perfectly in tune if we have our fourth finger on the D harmonic and first finger on E. Great. Yeah. And then find how it's perfectly in tune on A.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was the difference in your hand?
I feel like I have to maybe it's like if I start on the other end of the pivot, maybe.
Yes, I know what you're saying. Yes, so start. That's a great way to describe it. Actually, it's like almost oftentimes we talk about this like turning a doorknob or something like that, and I really like that. You're like starting at the end or closer to the end of that rotational cycle. I like that. Yeah, when I do that, I basically come around a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never practiced these backwards. Actually, that's like you've given me a new thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't remember who taught me how to do it that way. But it's so nice because if you can get to if you can start where you want to end up in terms of intonation, and you say like, okay, I know I need to arrive in this hand position to make this in tune, then you can just sort of like piece together, okay, well, how do I get there next? And I find that so much simpler than, I'm definitely prone to this. I sort of bang my head against problems sometimes. I just keep going until it plays itself in tune. But I find this to be a simpler way, especially with thorny passages like this. Okay, so how about the next one with this C sharp? Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. So I think
yeah.
That's got to be better. So
you're doing the same process of like working backwards for this one.
Yeah.
I really like that. I think one thing I might add is that I like to think of it almost as like an architectural structure. Like I want to be able to feel like I can like bounce up and down on the strings and like hear the strings hitting the fingerboard a little bit. And like if I have that sort of security, I can definitely play these notes.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps me figure out the hand position that I'm going to need to get these like Correct. And I think that's so helpful on the bass because everybody's hands are so different and our instruments are all so different, that it can be really helpful to just work it out like slowly for yourself in that way. So again, like we're working backwards. We're finding the right like hand shape to fit the music. Let me check how we're doing on time. Okay, so I think we have a couple minutes left. So basically, I would say to do that same process for the rest of the passage and then how I would work this passage is I would work individually on each chord, like on the pivot hand positions first, and then I would probably work forwards and backwards through the chord progression until it just feels like, super, super easy. And then I would add the notes and the rhythms and like your ornaments and everything else in. Yeah, so that's great. What else? So the last thing I'll leave you with is your sound concept. I really, really like your sound concept. And what I mean by that is just like the way that Sarah Nielsen thinks the bass should sound. I think it's really interesting. I think it's you have a very like open like valley sort of sound, like it's a really nice like pleasant sound to listen to, and I think it's so fitting for Bach especially. You also like you're very good at getting to like the depth of the instrument and like really pulling out, like getting the string to go side to side as much as possible, which is really, really great. I think for this piece, especially in the high register, I would add one other like gradient, one other set of like oils to paint with. I would go for something I wanted to hear that I felt would make, like I could hear the intensity in the harmony, I could hear it in your bow speed, but I couldn't always hear it in the tone. I felt like sometimes your tone like stayed the same from like a very relaxed open sound when you were playing a more like intense passage. So maybe could you play the pedal section? There's like an A pedal that you play.
Where's that?
Oh, there it is. 42.
Oh yeah.
Dee-da-dee-da-dee-da. Great. So very well executed, number one. But that was great.
Yeah.
So, but again, like so, your bow speed was conveying like intensity. Could you, again, just as we did before, just tip your hair a little bit more, just so we can get a little bit of a denser sound. Totally. No, you did it. You did it. That was good. I like the sound.
Throws me off a little bit.
Sure. Actually, it sounded very good over Zoom. I don't know. I don't know what you think, but the one last thing I would add maybe is a little bit of articulation on the bow changes, just a little bit, not like an egregious, not like Rostropovich, like, but just a little bit, just so that we get the idea.
Oh, can you imagine if I did it like Rostropovich though? Like,
be cool. Yeah, that was awesome. So I heard like the tent poles of your phrase, like like these like staggered tent poles. In my mind, that's what they look like. They popped out a lot more clearly to me. Just when you were using a few more tools to show me where they were. So, bravo! You sound wonderful. Are you gonna play this on like a full recital that I can stream?
When I have the other movements, I'll put something together. But I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. This has been so helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. You sound great. Okay. Oh, clap. Yay. So Anna Mears is next. Sorry, I'm trying to pin your tile. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Found you. How are you, Anna?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Long time no see.
I know.
Your cat's pennant in the background.
Oh yeah, for my freshman dorm.
Nice. You have a bowling pin too.
Oh, yep, I do. I don't bowl, but I have a bowling pin. Yeah, it's for that one.
Few people know this about me, but I'm a accomplished bowler. That's
Wow.
some people have like musical families and like, 3 generations of their families are like musicians. My family bowls. So
Wow. Yeah, I don't know why I have that, but
cool. So what are you gonna play for me?
I am also going to play Bach. I'm going to play the Allemande and the Gigue from the first suite.
Great. Okay. Awesome. I'll leave you to it.
I'm just gonna start over. Sorry.
Hey. I'll give you some more actual claps. That was great. What did you think? How did you feel?
It was okay. I just like I'm in the middle of memorizing it, so I was like, do I look at the music or not? And that kind of messed me up at some parts, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I got like in the groove of it, it was fine. And then I like something went wrong, and then I would get off. But yeah.
One of my very good friends on his junior recital, it's always Bach. It's always so he played the first suite, and there were a couple times where he had just transitioned from like reading it on the page to like playing it all by memory, and one movement he just lost it. He could not he couldn't remember it, and he just like played like 5-1 and that was it for that movement. So I think that that is something that just comes with time. I think like just getting used to playing it, like just reading it and then like playing large sections of it by memory. I think that will be really helpful. Just stringing together those sections until you have the whole thing, like as like a complete piece in your mind. So I definitely would offer that advice. How did you feel about your like playing?
I I I'm glad I was like not playing on my bass for the past week because I was out somewhere playing on like a plywood. So I'm like definitely glad to be back on my bass. It feels so much better.
Yeah.
So I was really happy about that. Like there's a few things that didn't totally come out the way I wanted it to, probably because of like string crossing in the right hand and then some left hand contact just flew off the board. But that was usually when the like memorization kind of went to.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm hearing some just like performance concerns and then concerns about intonation. So I think especially in the Allemande, I really liked the way you played it. I thought it was it had this like nice flowing quality to it. Yeah, it was very easy to follow along with. Even when you made a mistake and like there you were able to jump right back in. I oftentimes think of Allemande as like this like flowing river, and sometimes that can take us into this like very lugubrious like rhythmless place, but you didn't do that. You had a really nice groove going, and I think that's so important when you play this because it's by far I think the longest movement of this piece of this suite. So it can end up sounding like a lot and sort of like run on and on and on. But you didn't do that. You managed to like just make it feel flowing. So bravo. So let's start. Let's start with the beginning of the Allemande. Could you just play like so I have it as bar 4, beat 3. So like the first cadence. So you end up on like an open G string. Could you just play?
Yeah, from the beginning.
Yeah. Great. So the first thing I want to talk about is intonation in that passage. So I think the tricky part about playing Bach on the bass is that it's just filled with so many consonant intervals that if anything is even slightly off, the listener ends up hearing it, And because we're playing the bass and we're playing in such a low register, we have so many overtones that can sort of tell us like, oh, like those overtones aren't lining up like perfectly. And I think it can be that's what I think makes playing Bach on the bass so challenging intonation wise as a bass player. Part of it at least. The other thing would be the register. So can you play just the first few notes? And I want you to play it like super slowly. And just play them as double stops and try to play them as double stops and don't stop holding each note until you're satisfied with the intonation. Totally satisfied. Say again.
Play it all as double? What do you mean by double?
No. So you're doing it. You're doing exactly what I'm asking for. So that was great, and you nailed it. Like that last time, you nailed it like perfectly in tune. Could you do that again?
Yeah.
Like super slowly, perfectly in tune.
Or just each note.
Awesome. So one thing I would want to add to this, so I mentioned double stops. I'm sorry, I didn't explain clearly. What I meant to say is, so I feel it's important that we're always playing in tune with ourselves, and I think with our own instruments. Some people have a different approach, and that's like totally fine and also valid. And like people have had entire careers like playing, in like perfect equal temperament as much as possible. But I personally feel that like with Bach, we have to tune to who we're playing with, and in Bach we're playing with ourselves. So so tuning as much as possible to your open strings and to like consonant notes that like you can reach under your fingers. Like I think that can be so useful. And doing exactly as you did before, where you didn't stop like tuning the note until it perfectly lined up. So I do want to point out one thing. Some of your A naturals, I felt that they could be more in tune with your like harmonic D. Could you just play those two notes for me? Yeah, that's great. So one thing I noticed that you're doing is you're changing your bow speed a little bit, and I feel that may actually be getting in your way a little bit, because sometimes when you change your bow speed, you can actually change the pitch of the string. So just keep like a nice even bow speed while we're tuning it. Just two beautiful pure notes. Yes. So that's like, call up the Cleveland Orchestra, call up Berlin Phil. Like that's like the quality of intonation that that you need, and that's like totally professional to play that in tune. That's delightful. So if you can do that on every note, we'll set up a recording contract. that's amazing. So I think just going through it slowly and really tuning every note as carefully as you can. I think it's helpful oftentimes to use a drone too. I wish if we were in the same room, I'd have like a drone setup going or something so that we could explore this a little bit. But I'm not sure which sort of like apps you have to do drones, but just I usually do like the root and the fifth of the key that I'm playing in. So in G, I'd have like a G and a D, and sometimes I also do the leading tone. So I put in like an F sharp in there as well, to keep my leading tones nice and low for Bach. I think that can be really helpful, like because if you have drones playing around you, like you're literally like it's as if you're playing with other people. You have more references for your ear to tune with. So I would definitely recommend some drone work. The Gigue. What do I want to say about the Gigue? I think there are tons of opportunities for this in the Gigue as well. Could you just start the Gigue again for me? Yeah. How'd you feel?
Good. I definitely like heard those spots.
Yeah. So let's just take one and we'll tune it, because I don't want to take up too much time doing this. So let's find one, and just so we can apply it to the Gigue as well. Which one were you least happy with in the first phrase?
I guess like even the D to the G. Or we could do like the double stops at the trill.
Let's do the trill. I think that'll give us more to work with.
Yeah.
So could you set it up for me?
I don't know why I put F sharp, sorry.
Yeah. So. So when I'm doing this, I'm listening for the beating, like the little wobbles in the note, until they line up like perfectly between the two notes. Then I know I've got it. Why don't you try the same? Nice and slow. Yeah. So I would do this even slower, and I would just be insistent, but be very patient with yourself as you do this. this can be very maddening work sometimes, and we're asking ourselves to do something like pretty extraordinary, to play a musical instrument like really well in tune. That's very difficult to do, and I think it's good to give yourself a lot of patience and a lot of time, and you'll definitely be able to do it if you're patient and kind to yourself while you do it. So, yeah. I wanted to also talk about something else. So what? Do you have like a game plan in mind before you play each of these pieces? Do you have like a checklist of things in your head that you have to do, or do you have like a vision for each of these?
Like I have a picture of the different quality of each movement, kind of. This one's a lot more dancey and upbeat than I guess the prelude and the allemande and the sarabande. Yeah.
Could you lean into that a little bit? Like, tell me a little bit more about the jig. What do you feel the jig is about? Like at its like nugget, its core, its
It's like
essence.
a Baroque dance, so I guess I would just picture like a Baroque dance.
Yeah. Okay, so let's shift away from Baroque dance from Bach. What have you been listening to any music lately outside of classical music?
Yeah, I love music.
Yeah. What have you been listening to?
Well, I listen to a lot of pop punk music.
To what? Sorry.
Like pop punk music, folk music,
Sure.
like the Beatles.
Could you tell me a little bit about the last song that you listened to, or the last album that you listened to that you just got like totally like enthralled in it? You were just obsessed with it. You couldn't leave it alone. Like you just kept listening to it. And it's like vivid, it's personal to you. Anything come to mind like that?
No.
No. Okay. I didn't expect that. So,
It's a hard question.
okay. So for me, I'll share a little bit maybe about my listening habits. Right now, I'm listening to this band. They're called Hiatus Coyote. They're like an Australian band, and they're sort of like funk, soul, like R&B, all sort of thrown together, and it's just so great. It's amazing. And like I've been piecing out one of their songs on the piano in here over the last like 6 weeks. And like every time I play the chord progression, like I feel like I learn a little bit more about the song, like how it works, and like what the artist is trying to tell me, and like why she wrote the song, and I think that's important to have a why for what we do, So if we take that philosophy and we bring it back to Bach, like what do you think Bach was getting at with the allemande or the jig? Either you can pick one.
The jig. Listen, we'll just stay on the jig. What do you think What do I think he was getting at? I don't know.
Yeah, like why did Bach write this? Like he could have wrote any notes on a piece of paper. He could have not written this piece at all. He could have just been like, I don't feel like writing today. I don't want to write for the cello. Like,
Well, for people to dance to, I don't know any other answer. I'm sorry.
no, yeah, that's totally fine. So I think of dance. I think of like people dancing. People like there's excitement in it. There's dance. There's like this liveliness to it. It reminds me of like the first day of spring when you see like all the bunnies like running around outside, and like you feel like you're in a Disney movie, especially in Ohio, like everybody's having so much fun, like everybody's glad to not be cooped up. Like that's sort of what I think of when I think of the jig. Do you have any other sort of images like that?
Yeah, that's a good image. Yeah.
Okay, that's mine.
Oh,
What's yours?
I don't. Yeah, like a dance. I don't know how else to answer the question because that's my image.
Okay, sure. No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, happy spring, happy.
Spring.
I don't know.
Dance?
Party.
Parties, okay. So with that in mind, can you show us like all of the excitement, all of the like springiness, the like youthful like lust for life in the beginning of this piece? Can you just like give that to us 110%, 120% as you start it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. That's exactly what I wanted. That was like satisfying. You know, like that. I feel like I got your interpretation of it. You know, you didn't seem worried. You just played as if like I wrote this. You know, like yeah, as if like somebody came up to you and said, "Oh, what piece is that?" And you're like, "Oh, I wrote that. Like that's the jig. It's my jig. I made it up. Like that's mine." And I think that that's what everybody wants to hear, you know, when we're listening to you like play this on like a recital or whatever, like we want to hear you. So I think if you can take that philosophy and like apply it to the jig, apply it to the allemande, like just explore it. Like having a really well defined idea of the piece in your head is just critical to like accessing that, to connecting with a listener so that they can hear who you are as a musician, you know. So like maybe I think dance is a great word. I think spring, like springiness, is a great word. Youth, maybe some other words that you could come up with to sort of like reference this piece for you. Maybe if you find like a piece of like art or like, you know, movie, like cinema or whatever. For me, sometimes this reminds me of Midsummer almost. I don't know if you've seen that horror movie, but like all people like frolicking in a meadow, like that's sort of what it reminds me of too. So just like really sharpen that image in your head of what this piece is supposed to be, and then find out what putting that like into the music means for you. Like for you used more articulation, you used more bow speed, more contrast in bow speed. It was like excellent musicianship when you just played it. That was absolutely excellent. Like I would take that any day of the week. Yeah. So, but the good thing is like this is the most fun work that you can do on the instrument. You know, this is what it's all about. This isn't boring drone work, you know, like hand shapes, like pivot, whatever. Like this is the most fun that you can have on the bass. So
Yeah. Thank you.
okay. Great. Do you have any last questions or we
No,
wrap up?
not really. Yeah, I think that just practicing it slowly with the drone will help. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Great.
thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciated hearing you. It's good to hear you again. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Awesome. But thank you. Who am I handing it off to now?
Yeah, that was great. I guess we could just wrap it up by thanking you again, Mike, so much. And thanks so much to Sarah and Anna for playing so wonderfully and for all the really insightful advice. It was really engaging. Especially it was great to just hear some Bach. I picked up my bass a few times and was trying some things out behind the scenes. So yeah, thanks so much. And just a reminder, if you didn't catch the beginning, we're going to be Bass Players for Black Composers is going to be at the virtual International Society of Bass Players convention starting tomorrow through, I believe it's Saturday. So you can pop in and say hi to us. I think there's information forthcoming. So keep an eye out for correspondence with International Society of Bass Players or with us. You can follow us Instagram, Facebook. That's usually the best way. And we have an email, bassplayers4blackcomposers@gmail.com. You can write to us, say hi. And yeah, we hope you and will have a great evening and consider donating to us. We're trying to raise some more money to commission some more Black composers to write for the double bass. And yeah, so anyway, thanks again so much, Mike. And thanks everyone for hanging.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks so much.